Hey, what's up everyone? So today we are going to do an image transfer for the Shapeoko. Basically, I will show you how to take any image offline, transfer that image into the Carbide Create and the Carbide Motion, and actually have it carved out on that Shapeoko machine of yours. And what's nice is you can really do any image. I've done one of a Little Mermaid for my daughter. I've done one of Augie the cat for my son. But because we are a tool channel, we are going to pick a tool. Now, it doesn't matter if it's Milwaukee, Ryobi, Rigid, DeWalt, Makita, whatever. If it's your favorite logo and you're looking at getting a machine, well, this might be pretty cool for you. So let's do this. We're going to go with the Milwaukee logo. And basically what we're going to do is just save this picture here. We're just going to take it, we're going to right click it, and we're going to save image to the desktop. And we'll go right here. And it's going to be super simple to do. Milwaukee tool vector. And then after I show you how to transform this into basically a path for the CNC to create this image, I will actually show you the finished product and it actually carving it out. So let's go and save this right here like so. And now what we're going to do, we don't need this anymore. You can say it saved it right to the desktop. And we're going to come over and we're going to go to what's called Inkscape. And this is also a free downloadable package here. You just click on it. Very simple to use. Do all kind of cool stuff with this, but all we're going to do is use the Inkscape. We're going to take our picture and we're going to drag it over like that, and we're just going to hit OK. And now you can see that we imported our picture, and it doesn't matter what size it is in here. We're just going to make a bitmap, really. So now we clicked on this picture here, just with our left clicker. We're going to come up, we're going to go to Toolpath. We're going to click that and we're going to go trace bitmap. Now you're going to get a couple different options, and what's nice about this is every time you hit the update button, it basically shows you what it's going to look like. And I usually use the brightness cutoff right here. So again, just in case you didn't see, all we're going to do is click on that. You'll see that it outlines it. Go over to path, trace bitmap. That screen will pop up. That's how we got to that. Brightness cutoff. We're going to hit update. Now you can see it went black and white, and basically what we did was we created the bitmap for the router to follow. So we're just going to hit OK. We're just going to X out of that, and now you have the original image and your bitmap image. So we're just going to delete this right here because we don't need the Milwaukee image anymore, the original one. We just need this right here. So all we're going to do is delete, bring this over like so. Go to our file and save as. Save as. And now it's going to save as an SVG file. And we'll just hit MIL and SVG. You can name it whatever you want. Go to the desktop, save it. Now what we're going to do is transport that into Carbide Create. So you're done with this process. You're going to go over your Carbide Create, and now you're going to import this. But before we do that, we have to set up our stock size. All right, now that we're done with the Inkscape, we got our picture, our bitmap traced out. All we have to do now is set up our stock. So what I'm using, and I'll show you here later, is an older piece of MDF. And the width on that, you're looking at 16 inches. Your height, you're looking at 9 inches. You can change that. So if you had a height of maybe 11 inches, just come over here, type in 11, hit OK, and you can see that changes it. But because it's 9 inches, we're going to keep that 9 inches. Hit OK. Brings that back down to where we need to be. The thickness is 3/4 of an inch. Again, if it was a 1/2 inch, you can change that. We're going to go from the top. I never change this here. You can either go top or bottom. I always stay on top. We are going to start the router on the lower left. So you can see this right here. That is where that router is going to start, and it's going to go up and start carving out. The material, you can go down here and see a bunch of different stuff. We're going to go with the MDF wood. And the retract height, that's how far your router is going to travel upwards on the Z-axis and then move to a different location. We're only going to set that at 4. Usually set it around 4 or 5 because the higher you set that, the longer it's going to take to cut. Units, we're going to stick with the inches. And that's really all we need to do there. So we set this up now, and now we have our MDF board, the exact same height and width and the thickness that we would have on the CNC sitting right there in front of me. So now what we want to do is actually go to design, and we're going to import the picture that we created, right? The trace bitmap. And how we're going to do that, we're going to come over here and click download, and we're going to the desktop where we saved it. And let's see, we'll go mill. Right here is where we saved it. We're going to open that up, and there it is. Boom, just like so. Now we have to determine how big do we want this. So what we're going to do, we're going to come over here. We're going to select all of these. And the first thing I'm going to do actually is I'm going to group these together. So if I come over and click this, you can see that these will move around by themselves. I don't want to do that. I'm going to drag this out. I'm going to click this little group button here. And now you can see if I click on it now, everything I change up in the toolpath, it will be the exact same through here. So now I want to make this a little bit bigger, so I'm just going to group those. I'm going to select them, and the width is saying about 8.8 inches. The height is 3.4 inches. And what's nice about this is that if I come over here and hit 6, that width will automatically change to keep everything looking pretty much basically the way you want it. And I'm going to hit apply, and you can see now that everything expands. I'll bring that in a little bit. I don't know if I really want it that big, so I'm going to go back and I will just change the width maybe to, I don't know, we'll say 10, and I'll hit apply. And right there you can see that it's lined up pretty good. The only issue I have with Carbide Create is when you only have one item, it won't let you center this perfectly. You have to have like 2 items. So if I were to come over here and draw this, let me see, I'll draw this border. Yeah, if I were to take these and go like this and then hit align tools, I could go like that, and you can see it aligned it. You know, if I made that bigger, it would do the same thing. But if you only have one item, then it gets pretty tough, and you have to eyeball it yourself. So we're just going to say maybe right here, because I don't need this to be perfect right off the bat. We're going to hit done. So now what we need to do is make a toolpath, and the way to do that is you're going to go to toolpath. You can do a couple of different things here. You can go to carve if you wanted to, and that's where it just comes in and does the carve writing with your V-bit, which would actually probably work pretty nice with this, but I don't think we're going to go V-bit. We're not going to do texture. We're going to do contour. And I already have a bit in. It's in the 1/8 inch collet, and the bit number is 112. And what we're going to do here is we're going to hit edit, and the depth per pass, basically how deep is this going to go per pass, right? So I am going to keep this, actually, you know what, we're going to bump this up. We're going to bump this up to 20. And in the step over, we can keep that the same. We can actually go to 30, maybe 31 on a step over, because the bit right here is 63. That would actually overlap a little bit, and I think the depth per pass is fine. The one thing I will ramp up though is the feed rate, and when you ramp up the feed rate, what people sometimes don't realize is that if you put a feed rate in of 75, it does not necessarily mean that you're going to be cutting at 75 inches per minute through the entire project. You can actually adjust that on the Carbide Motion, which I will show you, but we're just going to hit, we're going to put 60 in there. That's it. And plunge rate is how fast, when your router goes over, it comes down. the plunge rate is how fast that router is going to plunge. So we're going to put this up at, we'll just say 15. We don't want it to go crazy, but you can adjust that manually. So we're going to hit OK. Now what we got to decide is, how do we want to do this? Do we want to do a pocket, right? And a pocket basically is going to cut out the inside of the letters, and that's what we're going to do. So we're going to actually hit pocket, and you can see now it's going to cut out on the inside of the letters, and we'll spray paint those with the red. Now with the step over, if I wanted to, I can go back to edit, and you can see it's leaving a little bit of that white right here. I want that all blue. So to step over, we can actually bring this down a little bit. We'll go to 20 and we'll hit OK. And now you can see that it pretty much clears it all out. If I went lower on that step bit, well, it would clean it out even more, but it's going to take longer. And then the max depth, I don't need it that deep, right? I don't even want it maybe 1/4 of an inch. I'm going to go 0.150, right? Because I don't need it that deep. And I'm going to hit OK. Now, if I wanted to do an offset, just so you know, that's what it's going to look like here. You got your tool path, right? We're only going to use one tool path, and we'll do other videos explaining different bits and tool paths and all that fun stuff. But if you come over here, you can go outside right. You can see it changes that. You can go, it's basically the same thing, inside left. So if I just wanted to do like the inside or outside line, I could do that. No offset, it's just going to basically do that. Or you could set this up, and we'll do this in a separate video, where these letters would be raised and everything else would be milled out a little bit lower, and you would actually have those raised letters. So that's pretty nice. But we're going to go back to pocket, and now what we need to do after we hit that pocket, you can see here, that's what it's going to do. We're going to come over here, we're going to hit OK. You got the tool path. We're going to go show simulation. So now we're going to click this here, and you have a couple different options. We're going to get rid of the tool path. I don't care about that. It's just showing you where the router is going to start, right? And you're going to come up, and it's going to boom, 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 boom. We don't care about that. I don't care about this. We're going to go to MDF. And now what we can do is, I'm just taking my left button, my left clicker, and I'm just dragging it, right? I'm just rotating that, and that is what this is going to look like. So I'm happy with all the setup that we did, the depth, the size of this. All we have to do now is save the G code, and we save the G code. We're just going to transfer that into Carbide Motion, upload it into the CNC, and it is ready to cut. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit save G code. I'm going to put this on my desktop again. Actually, I'm going to put it CNC files, and then we'll go MILL done. Again, you can name this whatever you want, and we'll hit save. And that's all you have to do when it comes to the Carbide Create. So we're going to go over to the Carbide Motion now, and I'm going to show you how to set that up. So right now we are in Carbide Motion. So the Carbide Create, that is to design what you're going to CNC out, and then the Carbide Motion is what actually does that work for you. So the first thing we have to do is actually connect our cutter. Pretty simple stuff, and you just plug that right into your laptop. Real easy to do. Alright, also basically what we have here is our MDF, and we got a couple clamps that we made out of some cheap pine here, so that doesn't go anywhere. So now we are heading over to the Carbide Motion. We have to zero out our machine. First we have to connect it and bring it over. We'll zero it out down here, and then we're going to run that path. Alright, so all we have to do now is come over to connect to cutter, just click it, and that's exactly what it's going to do. It's going to connect, and we're just going to hit jog, and it's going to want to initialize the machine. Just hit continue. That is what it will do. It will start homing itself. Now once it homes, that's where you're going to be able to come over and zero this out right here. So now all we're doing is we're bringing this out. We hit a rapid motion, and we just have to zero this. So we're going to bring this over. We're going to put this on fast. And I am going to have a separate Carbide Motion tutorial coming up soon. We're going to bring this over down to that lower left corner, just like we set it up in the Carbide Create. We'll bring that down, and we want to go right there in that corner, just like we showed you when we were setting up the design. It's not going to be perfect right off the bat, so you can change it from millimeter. There you go. Come down a little bit more. I'm going to get a piece of tape here, and I'm going to make sure it's zeroed out. So now we have this basically right where we want it. Now that we have that zeroed out on that bottom left corner like we put in the design in Carbide Create, we're going to come over and we're going to zero out this machine. Alright, so let's go ahead and zero out right here, set to 0. And once you hit 0 all you're going to do is click done. And that's it. So now you're going to go to done, and you remember the file that we created with the Carbide Create. We're going to go load new file. We're going to go back to where we saved that. That was CNC Designs, and it was the mill done. We're going to click it. We're going to open it, and that's it. Now all we got to do is turn our router on and hit run. So now we're going to turn that router on. And because we're going to go a little bit quicker with this, I am actually going to turn the speed up a little bit. I usually have this set at 3 or 4. We're going to keep this at a 4.5, maybe a 5, but because it's a softer material, it's MDF, you don't have to go crazy with it. It's not a hardwood like maple or oak. So about a 4.5 I think will be fine. So we're going to turn this on, and all we're going to do is hit the run button. We're going to hit run. Start. There we go. Now you can see it's taking off a very little amount. Remember, we set that depth path, so it seems to go very shallow, and then it'll get deeper and deeper. So you can see it's moving pretty quick. I'll show you how to speed that up. Now over here where it says run, you can see the progress. You can see right here it says speed rate, and what you can do is you can actually adjust those higher or lower, or you can hit reset feed rate, and that reset feed rate would bring it back to what it was already uploaded into the system at basically when we started it out. So we're going to go over to the feed rate, and we're going to actually hit +10, and that will bump that speed up, and I'll show you here. So you can see how that's running. Let's bump it up, and I'll show you how much faster we can get this to go. There it goes, really quick to the point that it starts shaking the table. Now I can bring this down, speed rate -10%, and we can slow this down. If we really want that detailed work, check that out, how it slows down like that to the point of almost stopping. But we're going to bring that up. We don't want it all the way up because we don't want to mess up our work. So I think something like this is fine. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the record button, let it go, we'll speed it up, and I'll show you the end process of how we're going to finish this up. All right, so we're basically done. The rotor's done. We just gotta clean this up a little bit, spray it, and then sand it. Let's do that now. Now, basically what I do is I'll just take a shop vac and go through this, or just take like an air hose and blow it out. But you just want to make sure you don't have any dust in there, because if you have dust in there, you gotta spray paint that. Well, it's gonna go over the dust, and when you blow everything else out, you're gonna have, well, a not so nice looking sign. So we just took that stuff out of there. Got some red spray paint, nothing special. I'm just gonna go in that on the inside. Spray it from the top, spray it on the bottom. Just make sure that you get a nice coat in there so everything gets covered. Don't gotta go crazy with it. And now we're just gonna let that dry, and then we'll sand it off. Just make sure you get all those corners. That should be good. Okay, cool. Let's give this about a half an hour, and we'll be back. All right, so basically what we're gonna do now is I got some 80 grit. You can always go over it again with a lighter grit, but we gotta get this rough stuff off here and take the rest of the paint off, and it should just leave that red. Alright guys, here we go. Now this MDF is a little bit tougher to blow off than actual wood would be because it packs together, but let's check it out here.